Good day, dear students. We were listening to the story of Laburnum for My Head by Temsila Awo, and this video is more about the text, that is Laburnum for My Head, the first short story of the collection named Laburnum for My Head. And it is by Temsila Awo, and I have given details about Temsila Awo in my previous video. So from here on we are starting the short story. So I'll share the pages from pages 1 to 5 in your group, so you can read through the story since you don't have the text now, but when you get the text, go through the text. Okay, so the a story begins in a cemetery. You know that we don't have much happy memories in a cemetery, but still you will find that Temsila was insistent that the story should begin in a cemetery, and the month is the month of May, and the place a sleeping town. Means a sleeping town means a town where you don't have much great things happening, when everything goes very steady, and there is not much movement, but at the same time we can call it a town. And in the month of May, it is springtime. The cold season, the winter had come to an end, and the summer had already begun. And you will find that this is the time when the humble Indian laburnum blooms. The time May, it is almost the same season when in our country also, not just May but April, when the laburnum blooms. In March also it will bloom because it is so hot in our place. So it is summer day. So the summer comes to the northeast, especially to Shillong, in May, and it is this time that is chosen by the plant laburnum to bloom. And the author Temsila Awo is telling us about a sleepy town, and she uses gentle sarcasm to describe the cemetery with the specimens of human conceit, marble and granite headstones. The cemetery is indeed a place where people bury the mortal remains of their dear ones, and they plant marble or granite headstones. Thank God it's a headstone, not a whole grave as such. So here you will find that the human beings or the dead person, his inheritors, try to preserve his presence in concrete structures erected in his homage, vying to outdo each other in size and style. Sometimes it is all in granite, sometimes it is black granite and different colors, and sometimes it is in marble. People, the relatives, they vie with each other, they compete with each other to outdo the graves of the others. Theirs should be much, much better than the others. And mind you, this is a cemetery. It is not a dancing hall or anything, it is just a cemetery, and this is why the author calls it a human conceit. And you'll find specimens of that human conceit in the form of marble and granite headstones. And every Easter week, these relatives come and clean the headstones of weeds and bramble. Easter usually comes in April. It never stretches to May, but April or towards the end of March and the beginning of April. So again it is summertime in Shillong and Meghalaya, and they take the time to clean the headstones and remove the weeds and brambles, that type of grass that grows around it, because people do not come out during the winter months. And so Easter is a celebration for them, and they try to clean it, because November is the time when you celebrate the time of the All Souls Day, and the whole month devoted to that. But in the Middle East, it is just not possible to come out during that extreme winter season, that is November. So they make it an occasion of cleaning the cemetery, the headstones, and removing its weeds and bramble during the Easter week. The laburnum bush remains there with its annual show of yellow splendor. The laburnum bush remains in the cemetery with its annual show of yellow splendor. It is annual show, definitely. It won't be flowering throughout the year. As you all know, it is flower for the summer, and when the summer is intense, the most beautiful laburnum will be there, and the beauty is really breathtaking, and it cools your mind even though it doesn't do anything to cool the heat of the day. But the heat, as the heat intensifies, the flowers just comes out, and you will find the headstones, the tombstones of the cemetery, and it is just lifeless opulence, the splendor. Money spent lavishly on these lifeless things, the headstones, how to make it beautiful, how to engrave the headstone with all the details of this person and about his family. It is just a lifeless opulence, and this is by the author, not just by the author alone, but also by the main character. So laburnum, on the other hand, is alive, and it is also unchanging, and it flowers in May. Every May it flowers, and it is at the end of the summer, and brown pods could be seen, and towards the end of summer the brown pods of this flower will come out, and you don't find the flowers there. And in winter it looks scraggly and shorn, means totally bereft of its beauty of either greenery or of the golden flowers, nothing there during the winter season. But once the spring comes, the spring brings back pale green shoots, and then in May, in summer, the yellow wreaths of this flower, this plant, laburnum. And the author uses several terms to describe the beauty of the laburnum. Not just the bunch of flowers, it is yellow wreaths, yellow sunshine. So many terms she uses, because maybe there are so many terms for this laburnum flower, for laburnum in the mind of this protagonist, and it is just outpouring through the words of the author. So in May definitely there will be flowers on laburnum, and especially in cemetery, in one corner you will find that it is there, and people notice that also. So the beauty, that is, the seasons play out a pantomime of beauty and baldness on the tree standing on the edge of the lifeless opulence in the corner of the cemetery. Among these lifeless opulence, you will find the remains of the assorted dead, rich and poor, young and old, and mourned and unmourned. These headstones are the mute testimony to duties performed by willing and unwilling offspring and relatives. They want to show that they care about this person who is dead, maybe after death, maybe to show others that they care. So in a way, the author Temsila was criticizing the way people try to show off in cemetery, and this is the most sarcastic of comments when she says that they have the headstones, lifeless opulence, and there is the yellow splendor which is alive and which is totally different from the lifeless opulence, and it is laburnum, and it is not costly at all, not like the marble or the granite or any other costly tombstone. The beauty of laburnum and the cemetery, they are placed side by side by the author in order to show the contrast, and that is life on one side in the form of the beauty of laburnum. The cemetery is on the other side. On the other side means it is there, and you will find the lifeless opulence in the form of marbles and granites. And then the story begins. The main character of the story is Lentina and her desire to have laburnum in her garden. She tried several times to plant the tree, and because her husband is rich and because she is interested in gardening, They have a gardener also, they have a driver, so many servants also. So even without telling us that belongs to an affluent family, we know because of the presence of these people. And so she made several attempts, but none survived because the disasters came in the form of a gardener, a wayward cow, DDT. Let's say that this is what happens to all enthusiastic gardeners or women like that. Not just to Lentina, but it must have happened to some of you or some of your parents, your mother, or whoever who is intent on having a tree or a plant in her garden. So this lady also bought 3 laburnum plants and planted it in a garden, and it was struggling to take roots and coming up nicely when a gardener was appointed to clean the garden after that is to weed the garden and things, and he came and uprooted these 3 saplings and threw it away, not to be seen anyway. And when Lendina came over to the corner where she had planted the laburnum, she was sad to see that it was not there. The gardener had already gone. And then again she went and bought some more plants and planted it. This time it survived quite well also. She was happy because when you find the new shoots coming up, naturally you await the arrival of the next bunch of flowers. That waiting is really a happy enough waiting, and you are so happy that it has come out well. And not just it has flowered, but it has come out well, it has survived everything. And then one day she found to her dismay that a neighbor's wayward cow had come to the plot, and the cow came directly to this laburnum and took it away, and it is not to be seen. Second attempt also failed. Again Lendina was not disappointed. Why should she be disappointed? She can have the plant. It is not such a rare plant. It is a common enough plant. You can buy it from the nursery. This time she bought it and very carefully she tended to the plant, and it was growing nicely when the municipal workers come, and they started spraying DDT. And because it is rainy season in our country, I am sure that you are familiar with this process. This is to eradicate all the mosquitoes and all the dirt, and to stop the spread of so many types of fever. And of course they are doing a good thing. But the thing is that these people who spray the DDT, they are not careful about the plants, and you get exasperated with them. You will have to open the gate to them. They have to do their duty, and you have to sign the form, and that is how it is done. And here also the gardener, one of the servants must have opened the gate for him, and he came and sprayed DDT. And by the time Lendina came out, she found to her dismay that batch of laburnum also was destroyed, because no flowering plant, even the vegetable plant also, will not withstand the onslaught of a DDT spray. So that was also gone. And again when she was trying to buy one more, the family started remarking about her obsession. Naturally, children will say, your mother is so obsessed with laburnum. Why is she so obsessed? She bought the first time, second time and third time, and they are all observing, they are hearing about it also in the family. So naturally the children and also the family, her husband, everyone started remarking, saying that you are obsessed with laburnum. So Lendina stopped talking about it, but she did not give up her hope. Though she stopped talking about planting it, she did not stop thinking about it. It is always there in her mind. She knew that a time will come for her to plant the tree, and the tree will grow and will finally be having blooms. So she did not give up her hope, even though all those 3 attempts were so disappointing. It's just not that the plant didn't come up well. It came up well, and so much disasters. And maybe she had this superstitious belief that she is not to have that wish fulfilled to have a laburnum in her house or in her land. And so even then she did not give up the hope. That is the attitude that we should also have. And I'm showing you some pictures here of the countryside that is in Meghalaya, where you have the live road bridge. You can walk through the bridge, but you can carry the weight, and the bridge consists of the roots of the trees. So you can imagine how beautiful it will be to have a laburnum in such a green countryside. Water will be flowing beneath that bridge, and it is a beautiful sight. You have to go there to enjoy that beautiful sight. So this time Lentina did not attempt to plant the tree, and then all on a sudden her husband died before she could do anything. The story, the author says, the story is running ahead of itself and must be told from the beginning. So the story started in a cemetery, but now the story is to be started from the very beginning. We started towards the end of the story, and now we should go back to the beginning. So it all started with the Lentina, and she just couldn't. She was not lucky with this plant, it seems. And then you will find that her husband died. So the death of her husband was related. But the thing is that the most remarkable part about the death of her husband is that the hearse was about to leave. The hearse is the carriage which takes the coffin, because you have a long way to go. You can't carry it on your shoulders. So there is carriage for that, designed specially for that, and the other cars or the people follow that hearse to the cemetery, to the church, and from there to the cemetery. So Lentina made a sudden announcement: I am going to follow my husband to the cemetery. Her sudden announcement that she is going to accompany her husband on his last journey, it was such a shocking statement to the people. You will think that what is there about it? What is there about a woman following the hearse to the cemetery? There is nothing wrong, because we are so used to people doing that, especially women in our country, but not in that particular place, because as I told you, it is a place where the men folk have the dominance, and there are certain places that women are not expected to go, and that is accompany her husband to the cemetery. Maybe it is the system in some of the tribal culture, or even in some other religion, and maybe following that. There is no such thing in a Christian religion. So naturally, maybe from that tribal aspect they had evolved this system. So it is not proper for her wife to follow the husband on his last journey, and that is to the cemetery. Usually only men folk accompanied the hearse and attended the prayers at graveside. So it is just men type of bonding, or maybe a type of feeling, and naturally this is what is expected. And then it was a shock to all of them. She made the announcement when the hearse is about to start, and when she made that announcement, it was a solemn occasion. No one can make a quarrel, because there is a dead body. You have to pay respects to that. So many people assembled there, so you can't behave in that manner towards a lady. That also is ingrained into their nature and to their culture. So it was total silence, and that silence was taken as permission, and she accompanied her husband to the cemetery. And then Lentina is ruminating. Ruminating means thinking, and Temsilavo had used this word in order to connect it to the countryside, and maybe these are productive thoughts. So naturally Lentina was ruminating on man's puny attempt. Reaching the cemetery, she also found the tombstones, and she understood the attempt of the human beings try to be someone even in the cemetery. And it is a puny attempt, because she knew that greater forces are there, and man is totally against any such contrast with that greater power. And human being is such a puny creature on this universe, and so without knowing that, man thinks that he is everything, he is such a great thing, and he has control over everything. That kind of feeling is there. But Lendina did not have that feeling. She knows that a time will come, and she will also have to concede to death, and she is not feeling anything about it. Means she doesn't have any fear or anything about death. So she there and then she decides not to have a concrete tombstone when her time came. When her time came means when it is time to bury her, she decided that she is not going to have a concrete tombstone because it is so easily available, and she will be buried next to her husband, and they are rich enough to buy the land there, maybe in the front row. So everything is possible, but the lady just do not want that. And after her death, and mind you, after her death, she doesn't want a concrete tombstone to be placed on at her head. So she had other thoughts. Why not have a laburnum tree planted on her grave? An epiphanic sensation. An epiphanic sensation means she was thinking about laburnum always. She had not given up the hope of having a laburnum tree and having the beautiful flowers blooming. It is still there. She made three attempts failed, and when people started commenting, her relatives and her family members started commenting on that, she just gave up thinking about it or talking about it, and even buying the laburnum plant. But now suddenly she had an epiphanic sensation, that is the sudden revelation of being there and having being shown as to what the reality is. So laburnum is already there in her mind, and there is the thought of her grave, there is a cemetery, and there and then she decided that she is not going to have a concrete tombstone when her time came. The other option, if you don't have a tombstone, why not have a laburnum tree planted on her grave, and her lifelong wish will be fulfilled. That is another part. Her lifelong wish is to have a laburnum tree planted and see the flowers of the tree. And so why not have a tree planted instead of a tombstone at my grave, so that my grave will always have once a year the blooms of laburnum. And that was really a remarkable thought. So the lady who came weeping at the death of her husband was feeling very happy, and once when some relative turned and looked at her, she immediately arranged her facial muscles in such a manner as to appear like a grieving widow. But she was so excited, and she was so excited because it is as if though a lifelong wish is about to happen. But there was a big problem, how to accomplish it. That is, as I told you earlier, people are vying with each other to have the best type of tombstone, best type of engraving, and you have to go with the flow. And if you are not going with the flow, you will be marked as an oddity. She doesn't want that to happen. It is a big problem. She is so excited that she came upon a revelation, and the revelation is that she is not going to have a tombstone, instead of which she is going to have a laburnum tree. And that is a long wish, and a big problem will be solved. But the thing is that how to accomplish this feat of having a laburnum tree planted at her grave. No one will understand her. Definitely they will say that she is odd. She is not really in her mind. Something must have happened to her when she went to the cemetery to bury her husband. So many thoughts will be there. Neither her children nor her relatives will ever help her out, because they will think that she is having silly thoughts. Who will ever want to plant a laburnum tree while the cemetery is filled with so many variety of tombstones? and have a plan there, who is there to support her? No one will be there. Nobody would like to swim against the tide, and tide it is. That was the fashion of the day, that was the fashion of so many years, and you have to go along with that. Then again she started thinking, what about the servants? Whom should she trust? There are so many servants, but then finally she remembered. She remembered the driver, who is also a widower, and this driver was in their employment for a long, long time, which means that the servant is indeed a trustworthy servant. His real name is Mapu, but her grandchild just couldn't pronounce it as Mapu, so the child started calling him Babu, and even others also started calling him Babu, and he also started answering to the name of Babu. So Mapu became Babu, and Babu was in their employment for a long time. He is also a widower, and he is also trustworthy because Lendina, the lady of the house, knows the servants well, and she knows that he is one person who will keep the secret with her, and she can really trust him. So if she goes for a drive with the driver, no one will say anything. She is going out for a drive, but they have something in common. They have some thing that they have to solve, something to accomplish, and that only they knew, and no other person will ever come to know that. So here you will find that it is impossible not to trust one servant, because she will have to move one place or the other, and she will have to make possible arrangements also for that. So together she gets the help of the servant, and she will also be planning and plotting, and then she is going to get what she had really hoped for. So here, dear students, in that beautiful in a beautiful land, this cemetery is a concrete jungle, a sort of a concrete jungle, because of it is paved with a lot of concrete headstones, marble and concrete headstones, and it had an ugliness about it. Even though people were vying with each other to beautify the tomb, and they are not succeeding in it, and both the author and Lendina felt contempt for that, and this is why Lendina decided not to destroy the beauty of the grave or even the cemetery, but instead she will have a laburnum tree there. And so here there is indeed something that she really cared for, maybe the beauty, or maybe conserving nature, and whatever it is, but because of her obsession with the laburnum, she thought she would have that. And here is a photo from Sohra. You will find the mist coming up. This is a daytime scene, and there is the waterfall. All these are parts of Northeast, so you can imagine the beauty of the whole place. And again you will find that Lendina was not disappointed. She was able to get the help of Mapu, or Babu, as he came to be called by the family members, and they all trusted him, and Lendina thought that he will take him into confidence, and then she started to plan and plot as to how to achieve her wish, maybe her last wish. But she is not saying that it is her last wish, but only her obsession to have something different, something in common with nature, not away from nature. And it is that desire, maybe because she is a woman, because there is that feeling that she must have something different, and maybe a long cherished wish coming to be true. Maybe it is that the 3 attempts failed, and this is now going to be the 4th attempt. So maybe it is that which makes her feel that she will have to do something about it, and she will have to go very secretly about it, because her relatives were totally opposed to her obsession of having this laburnum plant, and she was going on trying to plant the tree in her garden for several times, 3 times, and 3 times at utter failure. And so she had given up that attempt of planting a tree, but she had not given up the hope in her mind. There is a difference. Given up the attempt for the sake of the others, but at the same time retaining the hope. And so when the time and the chance comes, she can make use of that. And this is going to happen soon. She doesn't know when it is. And then when she accompanied her husband's dead body to the cemetery, the hearse, you will find that suddenly she had a revelation, an epiphany. And that is called epiphany is actually a term, style of speech to used to denote a revelation, and it is from the feast of Epiphany, taken from the feast of Epiphany. So you will find that it is indeed something that that came to her all in a sudden, and she started using that revealing thought, and she needed someone to trust, someone to do certain jobs for her, someone to accompany her everywhere, someone who is trustworthy. And she could find no servant. She searched among the servants, no relatives, nothing. And then she came upon Mapu, the driver of the house, who had been with her for a long, long time. And his present name is Bapu. Babu means her grandchildren had just couldn't pronounce Mapu, so they started calling him Babu, and his name stuck like that. So Mapu or Babu is going to help her out, and Lentina is ready for her journey to have a laburnum for her graveside instead of a concrete marble slab. So dear students, read the short story, and when you get the text, read the story in full. We'll continue with the other pages. We have finished only just 5 pages, and the 15 pages are awaiting you. Okay, thank you.